Hey everybody, it's Cooper Guyon, host of the Guyon Show. We've got a great show coming to you today. I'm going to be talking about immigration and the failures of the Biden administration, coming to you after the break. Before we get started, we want to say a big thanks to our sponsor, Save Our America clothing brand. They have graciously provided our viewers with a 10% discount on their website, saveouramerica.org. Use the code Cooper in all caps to save 10% at checkout. All right, folks, we're live here. I'm going to talk to you guys about starting off with Joe Biden's immigration policy. It's been a disaster, folks, and as many of you know, and I've mentioned in this show before, my dad is an immigrant, so I take this issue seriously. We have a crisis at our border, a human rights crisis, and I think that the UN should get involved because right now we're not only keeping kids in cages, but we have disease-filled criminals from across the world. They're not just from Mexico and Honduras in there. We've got people from Yemen. Record numbers of people from Yemen are crossing the border because they drop them off in Mexico and they just walk over our border. It's a horrible thing. I've got some numbers right here for you. The number of illegal border crossing is now 6 times more than what Obama's administration considered a crisis. But then Jen Psaki, the evil witch that's our press secretary, she's horrible. She's just disgusting. It's sad. I mean, that's the biggest downgrade from her. From Kayleigh McEnany to her, I mean, Kayleigh was great. So then, I mean, she refuses to call this a crisis. They want to blame it on Trump. We had the best immigration policy under Trump. Now, I do think we should have a better pathway to citizenship, and that comes with the new era of the GOP, with people like Madison Cawthorn and the young Republicans that are coming up into Congress and into government that want to see real social reform, like Matt Gaetz and a lot of these people, but that don't want to be inhumane like Biden administration. You know, who built the cages, Joe? Trump asked that in the debate, and it was Obama. Obama built the cages, and Trump's no-nonsense immigration policy that stopped people from coming over the border was eliminating the kids in cages because you have less kids coming over to put in cages. And now we're not putting them in even in cages. We're putting them in shipping containers where these children have said that they haven't seen the light of day. It's only through the bars of this shipping container they're in. I mean, look at the pictures. It's a literal shipping container. And it's a disaster. And it's really a sad thing, folks. I mean, it's just, people are people. They're not cattle. And you don't treat them like they're cattle. When children are sleeping in a shipping container with hay for a bed. Hay for a bed. Straw. And they have to switch out because they're so packed in there that they have to take turns to lay on the floor because there's so many that they have to all back into the corner so one person can lay on the floor and sleep. Let that sink into you. The human rights crisis at our border is horrible. In my book, Our Broken Nation, a 15-year-old's case to save America, available on Amazon for $7.99, I lay out a common sense immigration plan. A plan that isn't about this inhumane deportation and containing these kids, and it isn't about the mass overflow of people over our borders. You know, when an American citizen re-enters our country right now, they're greeted with a COVID test. When an illegal immigrant walks over our border, they're greeted with a welcome and a pass to stealing an American job. And it's the sad reality of this system that we have in our country. And it's horrifying that the left says that they are the humane ones that want social reform. Social reform is coming in the wave of Republicans like Matt Gaetz that want to legalize marijuana, that want to have common sense immigration policy, and even in the wave of people like Donald Trump and his children, because you're common sense. And we haven't had that in politics in a long time, and that's been brought. And that's what I want to bring into politics is common sense. We haven't had it forever. I mean, I call myself conservative, but I'm a common sense conservative. I'm not going to go support somebody who's just an absolutely horrible person just because they're conservative. We have values, people, and Americans have values, and this kids in cages stuff and the mass illegal immigration that's being let in is horrible. They've taken down our beautiful wall at the southern border, and they've put up a wall in Washington, D.C., our nation's capital. Fort Pelosi is only getting bigger, and there's still our National Guard troops from every state in this country. What are they protecting us from? I want to ask Nancy Pelosi that. Why can't we go visit our capital? I was supposed to go over spring break and go see my friends in D.C., but I can't get in the Capitol because Fort Pelosi is locked down. They have fences and barbed wire. So let me tell you this. If walls don't work, why did they need one to protect them? Because it's simple. Walls do work. They work at our southern border. And when Joe Biden takes a big chunk out of our wall, that's a big door for people to get in. That's a recipe for disaster. They're hypocrites, folks. Nancy Pelosi's House of Hypocrites is reigning today, and it's just a horrible thing. You know, we've got a serious problem here in America, and I want to pose some solutions. Elect common sense Republicans. Don't elect Mitt Romneys and all these losers that aren't going to stand strong to their values. Elect common sense Republicans. Elect people that are for a common sense social change, that aren't, I'm a Christian, but the Bible-bumping conservatives that think that gays don't have the right to marry. We're the party that wants to lower your taxes, not raise them. So let's be that party. We're the party of no nonsense spending. So let's vote the people that vote for these insane COVID relief bills. You know, only 9% of these COVID relief bills is actually COVID relief. The rest is a bunch of pork. That's what we call it. That's what you call these bills in politics, is it's pork. It's just a bunch of Kennedy, they fund the Kennedy Center, the National Endowment of Arts, and foreign countries. But most of all, I think the most important solution that we can pose as Americans and as a young person in America is follow the American First agenda. That is the most brilliant thing that's ever happened in politics since Ron Paul. And that's like saying the most brilliant thing since sliced bread. Because, you know, if we're not putting America first, what are you elected for? We're Americans. We're electing American politicians, some of them, and then we have these foreigners like Ilhan Omar. We've got radical Islamic terrorists. I would call her a terrorist. She spreads jihad in our United States Capitol. But other than that, everybody's from America, and the ones that aren't have worked to be citizens and have lived the American dream like my dad. We need people like that in our country, and that is the solution I pose to you, is if we can come together across party lines and just put America first. Because we've got a party in America now, folks, that doesn't want to put America first. And it's scary. It's a sad thing. So we need America first immigration policy. We need American first foreign policy. Speaking of foreign policy, here we go. There you go again, Joe. I mean, it's just a sad thing. Just yesterday, we saw Russia pulled their ambassador out of America because Nursing Home Joe called Vladimir Putin a killer. Now, Trump was an abrasive guy, okay? He was aggressive. But that man, we didn't go in any foreign wars, and we're already bombing the Middle East now. I mean, you want to talk about bad foreign policy. We're bombing the Middle East, folks. But under President Trump's reign, I talk about him a lot, but he's not the number one answer. We need people like him. We need outsiders. We need Americans, real Americans that are going to put this country first to be in office. We need people like that are, they make sense, and you deal with strength, peace through strength. We had the strongest military under President Trump, and we were winning again. We didn't take any BS from any foreign countries. We stopped the Iranian nuclear deal. We got out of the Paris Climate Accord. Now, both those things are back on track to pushing America over. The Paris Climate Accord is such a ripoff of our country. It's just ridiculous. I mean, we need common sense in this country. We need people that are willing to put this country first and not Joe Biden. I mean, think about it. You got an old man that sits on his front porch in his underwear that yells crazy things across the road. That's what we got in the White House. I mean, think about it. Joe Biden he's an old man, and he just says stuff about people that, I mean, doesn't make sense. You know what does make sense is he called Kamala Harris. He said, President Harris. You know, I think she is calling the shots right now because Joe Biden is a figurehead and he doesn't know what he's doing. So, except for ticking off world leaders like Vladimir Putin. And Putin wasn't our best friend under Trump. Neither was Kim Jong-un. But Trump, make no mistake about it, he was the first president to walk across the DMV. and and talk to the North Koreans and negotiate and make a stalemate when we thought we were going to have to go to war with them. So it's just awfully bad that we have a president that has this mental capacity of just throwing around slurs to world leaders and burning bridge after bridge and bombing the Middle East. And it's just a sad thing, folks. And we need to return to normalcy in our country. We need to return to America first in our country. And I'm convinced in 4 years we will elect a president that will put America first. Well, folks, that's all I've got for you today. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'll see you next time on the Guyon Show. Have a good day.